Keith was a red engine. That is to say, he'd been painted red, though because the job had been done quickly and with every expense spared, his true colours shone, or at least showed, through. "He's blue," said Henry. "A blue job," said James. "Try saying that with your mouth full," said Percy cheekily. Edward gave Percy one of his now famous looks, and the engines laughed. Thomas didn't see the joke, but not wanting to be left out, he laughed anyway. In truth, Keith being blue was not a laughing matter. The owners of the railway, who also happened to own the island of Sodom, had drafted Keith in to replace Corbin. Corbin was a really red engine. He cared about the passengers and something called human rights. But the owners of the island weren't having any of that socialistic nonsense, and so Corbin had to go. They gave Keith a lick of red paint, and Keith shunted Corbin down a siding quicker than you could say Margaret Thatcher. "The blessed Margaret," as Nigel had once called her. Nigel, you will remember, was the Brexit engine, but he'd been sent up the jungle, where he lost. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. "Why didn't the passengers object?" asked Thomas. "Corbin was very popular." Edward explained. Corbin was popular with the people, but the owners, the oligarchs. Thomas interrupted. "Oh, the Ollie-Watsits. We've talked about them before." Edward went on. "But the owners, the oligarchs, saw him as a threat. They couldn't have him going around the island telling people that they had rights, that they were entitled to secure jobs, that they were entitled to fair wages, and didn't have to live in poverty." He continued, "The oligarchs are capitalists. Their wealth is based on exploitation, and so poverty is, in material terms, inevitable." Thomas looked puzzled. Edward had used a lot of words, but he wasn't sure that he'd understood many of them. "What's more, the oligarchs don't just own the railway and the island, they also own most of the newspapers, and the newspapers told people that Corbin was bad." Thomas thought for a moment and then asked, "But do the people always believe what the newspapers tell them?" "Does the Pope pray in the woods?" asked Edward.